What's up, Guardians? Last week, Ashen Iron dropped, and with it came a new activity called Reclaim, which had some new gear and some Reclaim engrams and things like that. And it turns out we hit week 2, and all of that stuff is now just portal drops, and there is no Reclaim engrams, and it's all become one big pool of loot. An Iron Banner came out, and the Iron Banner engram has one Iron Banner weapon and then loot from Arms Week in there. And I'm thinking about it, and is it time to take a break from Destiny? Bungie had a lot of things change in Edge of Fate, and they were trying to make new systems and new ways to play the game and new build crafting options and make it new and interesting and fresh. And at a baseline, I think they did improve the base building blocks of the game. You know, build crafting and stats are more interesting now than they ever were. Tiers for weapons and armor are more enticing loot sources, and Kepler was not a bad destination. You know, the plot was fine for the expansion, and mythic missions are interesting and difficult. Not that rewarding though, and that's part of the issue, is the portal being the only source of loot in the game. The only source of power increase in the game. And it doesn't feed into any other systems, and no systems feed into it. I will say you have to do the portal to get better gear drops on Kepler. But doing Kepler missions contributes nothing to your power level in the portal. There's no way to get to tier 4s and tier 5s on Kepler without playing the portal. And the raid progresses on its own feat system, which will let you get, tier 4s and sometimes tier 5s on regular. Once we get epic, we should be getting tier 5s regularly with max feats on the epic raid. But none of those really contribute to your power level, because now on the new patch we get +1 power level, which is like nothing for the 300 to 400 you have to grind out in a season. Doing the portal takes maybe 24 hours at least to get from one tier to the next tier, to go from 200 to 300 or 300 to 400. Literally 24 hours. If you're doing 5-minute runs and everything's a +3 and you don't get any duplicate rolls in the same slot so that there's no redundancy, you're looking at like 24 hours. And if it takes you any longer, if you're getting any drops that are not 1 per 5 minute, then it's going to take even longer than that. And the further you go into playing the portal, the harder it becomes to try and do build crafting. Because in order to do build crafting, you have to infuse your gear up to the level that you're at in the portal, which costs unstable cores, which are a seasonal currency you can only get from dismantling gear that is dropping above the power cap, which you have to be in the portal to get, because no content in the game drops a +0. You can't go to old content and do raids and dungeons and get on level gear to kind of build up your tank with that. You have to be playing the portal at max difficulty to be getting these drops. So you infuse a gear set and you try a build out, and you realize maybe you want a different stat spread, or you want to run a different exotic, or your weapon should be changed out. And then you go to infuse that, and it costs you, 8 to 5,000 unstable cores. And it's going to take you another 3-4 hours to get enough cores to infuse a new set. It costs, me like 25 to 30,000 cores to get to 350. And the power cap's like 600. You know what I mean? There's just this infinite level of grind for infusing your gear to try to play a build to see if it works, let alone have multiple builds on multiple characters to play the game. You can't even have the variety of playing multiple builds and switching them out quickly, because you are just stuck with these unstable cores that you can only get in the portal. You have to go into the mines and the caldera. Fireteam ops sounds like it would be a nice little break away from playing solo, until you realize your only options to play Fireteam are to bring your own team, play the match-made playlist with random modifiers, random activities, and equipment lock. So you're like going to play master, strikes, but you can't change your gear to do the anti-champion stuff once you're in. You're kind of just stuck with it. Or you've got 2 to 3 match-made activities a day. That's it. Today there's 2. Last time when I checked, there was 2 match-made activities. It was 1 strike and reclaim. And tomorrow, there's going to be maybe 3. Out of like 20 to 30 things that are in the portal, in the Fireteam playlist. And all of these things used to have their own matchmaking pools. So why did we get rid of that? You can't play anything you want, because you have to go find a team to bring your own team to play any of these activities. And a lot of these don't even feel like they were made to scale up this high in power level. I mean, there's some really cringe stuff when you go into like Onslaught and play an Onslaught on too high of a level. It wasn't built to be that high tier. Legend Onslaught was like the top tippy top when we played it. You go in on Master and it's rough. Especially if you're going in with 2 people. You want to play duos with your friends. Good luck playing duos in some of the Fireteam things when you jack it up. You know what I mean? And then Pinnacle Ops is like okay. They just extended the timers on the missions, and I was trying to play Presage a couple days ago, and it was like a 12-minute timer. And I play Presage. I know how to play Presage. And by the time the timer ended, I was maybe just about done with the traversal part. And then it killed me because the timer ended. And it should end the activity, but it just put me into an infinite loop of dying and respawning and dying and respawning because the timer was over, but it wouldn't kick me out. So I had to leave and close the game to desktop because it wouldn't let me out any other way. And that's just, it feels so bad when there's all these missions that used to have their own loot pools and things like that, and now everything is one loot pool. And there's 3 loot pools. There's the Portal loot pool, which is for solo and Fireteam. There's the Pinnacle loot pool for the Pinnacle playlist, and there's Crucible. And that's about it. There are 3 drop sources in the seasonal power grind. You can get the raid drops in the raid, and they will sometimes be above level or on level for your first clear of the week. You can go to Kepler to get the Kepler sets, which will not drop at power. And that's it. That's all the tiered stuff. We used to have the Nightfall loot, the Strike loot, the Crucible loot, the Gambit loot. Every raid and dungeon had their own thing. Onslaught had its own loot pool. Empire Hunts had their own loot pool. Reclaim would have had its own loot pool for that activity type. And instead, we've come to this place where everything is homogenized, and when there is infinite choices, there is no choice at all. We used to be able to play anything you wanted, and you would end up leveling up with prime engrams and getting to the powerful cap, which was what you needed for 98% of the content. Only GMs and trials needed you to have pinnacle power. Now, you'll get to 200 doing anything in the game, and there's 400 levels. It'll take you 24 hours each to get through each 100, at least, pushing well over 100 hours if you're concentrating on just getting your power. To do what? To play the portal more? To get better drops in the portal? Why does the raid have this unique system that is actually kind of good for doing its tier system, right? Do more challenging things, get better tiered rewards. Why is that a thing? But it can't be incorporated into the portal that way, and that the power that you get in the raid and on Kepler doesn't contribute to you improving your portal rewards. Not to mention, every time you're playing the portal, you constantly have to make it more and more difficult and put more and more modifiers on. There's never a point where you can put on a set difficulty and play and get consistent upgrades and kind of hang out with that. You always have to crank it up just a little bit more. Add just a couple more modifiers. You can't level up a little bit slower playing Expert or Master forever. You have to go into GM. You're going to have to go into Ultimatum with more stuff. Just to get on-level gear, to get plus zeros. And that just feels wrong. It feels bad. It feels like a waste of time. The balance changes are not coming in fast enough. The things that need to get changed aren't getting changed. Things that should be getting buffed aren't getting buffed. Things that were supposed to get buffed that got bugged and aren't getting fixed. And the things that are coming out broken and fun are getting nerfed. And that's kind of just how it is when Bungie does balancing on things. But it shouldn't feel this way right now, especially with sentiment already being low. I know there's a raid race coming up, but we could do the raid race and just have the bugs be disabled for the raid race. We don't have to disable them in the whole game right now. And there are plenty of games out right now that feel like they're respecting your time more. Borderlands 4 just came out. Well, it runs pretty poorly. It's pretty fun. You know, good playing solo, good playing with friends. You get loot, you level up. Doesn't feel like it's taking forever to grind. Path of Exile 2, really fun game, ARPG, not a shooter, but still well respects your time for that loot chase. And there's nothing wrong with playing something else while Bungie fixes what they've messed up. You know, Destiny Rising being a mobile game, I'm not a big mobile gamer. You can play it with the emulator on your computer, and it's pretty fun. You know, they've got the things going on in the game that we just have lost in Destiny 2. You know, we lost all these strike playlists and playlist activities and seasonal activities, and it feels like Destiny Rising's got a bunch of seasonal activities in it. Unique loot pools for all of them. Go in, play them. Yeah, it's a gacha game. It's not going to be my new main game or anything, but it's more Destiny than Destiny's become. Progression's always been the thing that you do to get ready to play endgame, and right now the endgame in Destiny is playing the portal, and leveling up to the endgame is playing the portal, and the portal is all there is. That just feels really bad. So, if you've been thinking Destiny's not feeling great right now, or there's other games that you'd be rather playing, I mean, you might as well just play them. When Destiny is good again, and Destiny's being fun again, and worth your time, you can come back. They're not gonna not let you back in. And who cares if you're a bit behind? Everybody's been behind. You're not starting from scratch. So let me know what you think. Are you going to be taking a break from the game? You going to wait till Renegades comes out and see if they fix progression and they speed everything up and the end game becomes viable and legacy content matters again? Are you going to wait and see if that happens? You going to keep playing the game? Are you enjoying the Portal right now? Because I'd be really interested to see anybody who is enjoying the Portal system. What makes it enjoyable for you? What aspects are you vibing with? If you are going to be hopping into something else, what are you looking to play? You gonna play Path of Exile? You gonna play Borderlands? You gonna play something old? You gonna play Silksong? Thank you all very much for watching. I'm gonna continue doing Destiny stuff when I feel like Destiny is interesting or topics that I like, because at the end of the day, I do still like Destiny. It's in a bad place right now, but I might do some other stuff here and there. Maybe some Borderlands, maybe some Path of Exile. I've been messing around with them. I don't know if there's anything I want to make a video on. I don't know what would be interesting. Maybe comparing them to Destiny, if you'd find that to be fun. Let me know down below. But I will see you all again very, very soon.